All right, there. Whoa. All right. Just stay behind the pillar. If you can't see the camera, you can't see you. All right. Now let's see here. Couldn't see me. I don't know. Gotta look at it. Yeah, I guess so. Right. Okay. Wow. Oh, I should bring my notebook. No earphones?
Yeah, there's headphones.
Oh, over there.
No.
Okay. Alright, yeah.
All right, now you're in the view. Say hi.
Oh, wait a minute now. I'm not getting Jacob.
Yeah, but then you're not getting you. Why would you want to blog with just Jacob?
Well, it sounds like I'm talking to somebody who isn't there.
Yeah, but you're not going to get both in the picture.
Oh, all right.
I mean, you're not.
You don't have a wide camera.
That's wider than you think. It's supposed to be 180 degrees.
Okay, if I get Jacob in, all I get is your belly.
That's the best part.
You're fine. I mean, you're good, Pete. It's okay.
All right.
We record. You can take the podcast and you can put it on your website as well. All right, get ready to go back on. Your website is still up and running from last time?
PeteTheisen.com.
Welcome back, everyone. You're listening to the Nilon Report. My name's Susan Nilon in the studio of WSRQ, and with me right now is Jacob Ogles, senior editor of SRQ Magazine, and he's with us every Wednesday.
Oh, yes.
It's good to have you, Jacob. And as a part of what we do here every Wednesday is we interview the candidates, and today's candidate is Pete Theisen. He is running for District 1, Sarasota County Commission. Is it not District 1, Pete?
It is District 2.
It's 2?
Oh, yep.
Has it switched? I thought 2 was
No, it is 2.
Nora
That is
Patterson's
true.
seat. Really? Okay.
Yeah.
You got me on that. Who's District 1? Oh, is Carolyn Mason District 1?
I believe, that
See,
sounds right. Carolyn.
This is what happens
Yeah,
when you come off of the change of districts.
but it is even numbered ones this time.
Okay,
2
so
and
you're
4
2.
are up.
Okay.
So,
So District 2, running for Joe Barbetta's seat and running against Paul Caragiolo.
I've been 2 for 66 years.
What does that mean?
Well, I turned 2 66 years ago,
Oh.
and 2 ever since. Jack Benny.
Okay. Good to know. So Pete, why are you running for the Sarasota County Commission?
Because I'm the only real Republican in the race.
What does that mean?
Well, Republicans have increasingly gone to being Democrat-light, and by that I mean quite liberal.
and you think that Paul Caragiolo is quite liberal?
I do.
Okay.
Actually, there are a number of concepts that are traditionally liberal. For instance, welfare. Now, welfare is necessary. If somebody's starving, you know, nobody can stand there and let somebody starve. That's, that's not Republican. But welfare for the rich.
Okay.
Welfare for the rich.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That is liberal. And guess what? That is liberal.
Okay.
They don't need it, and yet you're giving it to them.
I'm confused. What are you talking corporate welfare?
Well, you could call it corporate welfare.
Well, okay, so be more specific when
Well,
you say welfare for the rich.
Okay, let's say, just for example, Mr. Rich Guy, not to mention his name,
Okay.
decides that, well, you know, there's a nice piece of property over there. I could buy that piece of property and build houses on it and sell the houses for a lot of money
Okay.
and get much richer than I already am. And wouldn't that be ducky? And the citizens say, well, you know, our roads have too much traffic on them now. We're going to have to either improve the roads or build new roads or build a monorail to move people or something, or put a heliport there to take your new residents over to the airport.
Okay, so,
that-
but wait, I appreciate what you're saying.
Do you?
Well, I'm trying to.
Oh,
So
okay,
when
you're
when
blocking it.
I'm not blocking it.
Okay.
I want to clarify it.
Okay.
When you first started talking about welfare for the poor, which is a Republican program, you said.
Well,
we're talking about people who need to put food on their table and people who need medical care, right? Then we moved over to corporate welfare,
sorta-
which you said was a Democratic program.
No, I said it was liberal.
Okay, I'm sorry. Which you said it was a liberal. When you go Republican to Democrat, as opposed to conservative versus liberal.
You
but,
mean I lost you?
You did. But so now we're
I'm
talking
sorry.
about corporate welfare, but we're really not, because you're tying this into development. So back to your question with Paul Caragiulo, your opponent. How does that fit?
Well, I was just responding to what Jacob said. I wasn't thinking of bringing him into it, except he mentioned it.
Okay.
And, you know, do I consider him liberal? Well, yes, I do.
Why?
Well, let's say, let's leave him out. Let's suppose I own 3 restaurants.
Okay.
And I ran for office, and I decided, gee, now that I'm in office, it would be so nice if we could change this dumb sound ordinance so that I could sell drinks and have music until about 3 in the morning. And I would add a day's pay a week to my own paycheck. If I did that, that would be conflict of interest.
And he's done that.
Has he?
What? Tell us. Go
Did
ahead,
I
inform us
say
on the
he
noise
did
ordinance.
that?
I'm asking.
Okay, he
'Cause-
did sponsor an effort to reopen the noise ordinance. He didn't get anywhere, except he got all kinds of pushback.
Okay.
But let's not talk about
But
what
that
he
makes him a
did.
liberal?
But what if I did that? If I did that, I'd be a liberal, because I'm,
Really?
feathering my
Okay,
own.
so
Yes, I mean, this is welfare for me. It isn't just welfare.
but it's not welfare, Pete.
It's not.
It's not welfare. No. I mean, if you're suggesting that he's taking advantage of his
No,
his
we're talking
position.
about me, if I were to do it.
Okay, Pete, though, what you're saying, and I understand what you're saying, that Paul Caragiulo is, or that whoever as a city
Who
commissioner
owns 3 restaurants in town.
and may or may not hold a seat right now and be running against you for office.
We won't mention his name.
Yeah, okay. You're saying he got a benefit, he potentially could get a benefit from this change in the noise ordinance. I still don't see how that's welfare, though, because he's not getting government to put money directly in his pocket. He's got a
Correct.
change in regulations that's
petitioned
more
for it.
favorable to his business. And in this case, it didn't even go anywhere.
Correct. So, and I don't know, and he did follow the process.
It's an extra week's pay, not only in my pocket if I own 3 restaurants, but every person who owns a restaurant.
However, based on his position, I did not see him do anything that any other business owner would have done. He put it through the process and the process failed, or his efforts failed. So I'm not quite getting why you labeled that as a liberal and why you say that that was wrong of him. I mean, actually, wouldn't it be just the
I
opposite?
didn't say it was wrong. I
Okay.
said I wouldn't do it.
Okay, all right. So let's move on to other things. What is it about that position that you feel you could do better as a county commissioner?
Well, I think that every time the question comes up about developers getting a free ride on several impact fees, which they otherwise would pay. The
Right.
county commission rolls over and plays dead. They gave him, what, 2/3 off the last
Who?
time? The county commission.
No.
Was
Who
it?
did they
give
give?
off?
The developers,
Which-
all developers.
Okay.
They suspended impact fees for, was it 3 years or 2? It was several years.
But I think the idea behind it was in a really bad economy when the developers were going bankrupt faster than a stack of dominoes, they were actually helping. It wasn't, I mean, for whatever you feel about development.
Which developer went bankrupt?
Are you kidding me, Pete? Well, in 2008, pretty much, we're talking developers, contractors, everyone in the building industry. People were leaving here in droves to find work. There were a lot of people that left our community because they couldn't afford to stay.
The industry is, by its nature, is mobile. They all live out of a suitcase. That's the
Okay,
nature of
and
that
again, they
business.
don't, because I didn't live out of a suitcase. I owned a construction company for many years in this town and ended up closing my doors.
You did.
And lucky for you, I bought a radio station and here I am. I wasn't mobile. Not everybody is mobile, and that's not the point.
But certainly all your employees were.
No, actually.
Oh,
they
you had to
weren't.
think about
Because
that.
I have other employees
yeah,
now, so I
yeah,
had to
yeah,
think
yeah,
about it. But
yeah.
absolutely, they're not. They went out and found other jobs. My point is, it wasn't, and I don't want to necessarily get into this argument to defend this, but it wasn't pro-development. It was just in general trying to help businesses and owners. And not everybody's a big developer either. There's a lot of little ones out there that, are in the industry trying to make it. And,
Did it help them?
well, I think we're okay right now, sure.
Did they develop anything?
Well, Pat Neal has got something going over in Blackburn Point, and we've got a lot more custom building going on than we did before those impact fees were reduced.
Okay, so they
A lot
got
of
some
small
little
time.
things going.
Yeah.
Little things that didn't have any impact anyway. Well, if there were little one house or two houses,
We're not talking one house or two house. We're talking about smaller companies that developed or
have
that
you
built.
been out to Grand Bay?
I have. Actually, I did a lot of work out in Grand Bay.
There seems to be about 20 houses out there.
Okay.
Well, they really haven't developed very much. So giving them a 2/3 break,
Okay, but
Come out into,
is it still going on right now?
oh, I
Do they
think,
still get the break?
I think they still have it, yes.
Okay.
And they want to renew it
Oh.
forever.
So then the decision would be at this point in time, does it still apply?
Well, there's a problem with it.
Okay.
As long as you build the house, the income, the cost to the government will be there. If the developer doesn't pay it, we're assuming that if he's got any business sense, he's going to pass it on to his customer.
Mm-hmm.
If the developer doesn't pay for it, it lands on the backs of the taxpayers, the ordinary taxpayers.
You're absolutely right.
Yes, and so when you do that, you're taking a businessman's cost and shifting it to the taxpayers.
Mhm.
I think that puts cash money into his pocket, Jacob, and so it's welfare for the rich.
Now, hold it, guys.
Now, that's what
I know.
you said.
Okay, Pete, and you answered that.
By the way, I love you. I'm just not picking
I
on
know,
your
I
anything,
know.
yeah.
I know,
You too,
and you
sister.
answered my question.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
here's what I hear from the development community. Not a place where people self-identify as liberals very often, I must say. In the development community, the tendency is to say, impact fees, that's not the free market at work. Now, roads, that's what you do for the residents of a community. Schools, all those are services that you provide for your citizens. It's not that you provide that for a developer. What a developer's responsibility to do is to go develop a property with homes so that they can be sold and serve the marketplace. It's the government who needs to be worrying about serving them with infrastructure, with schools, with roads, with all of that. So I think that they would say this isn't welfare, especially since it's not putting money directly into their pocket, it's indirectly,
Helping them,
And-
giving them the ability.
and it's helping them, and I'm sure they would put little air quotes like I'm putting right now, by taking off a cost from off of their back that they don't necessarily believe should have been there in the first place. So taking a regulation off the books, taking an assessment that's levied against them off of their backs temporarily, I think that they would say that's not very liberal at all.
And it's certainly not.
Well, they
welfare.
might say that, but it certainly is welfare for the rich, because all you'd have to do is ask the taxpayers what they thought.
What about when you cut taxes on wealthy Americans? Is that
Yeah.
welfare?
Well, I haven't cut taxes.
No, but
I know,
but we're trying to get we're trying to understand your definition of welfare, and that's what I take exception with. You may have a problem with the act, but that's
The
not
act.
with the act of taking
Of
away
cutting impact
fees or whatever. But it's still not welfare, and let's be clear about that. Welfare is when you cut a check and you hand it over to somebody to help them for whatever position that they're in. So that's what welfare is. But by cutting taxes or taking away fees, that's not welfare.
Well, it's certainly an academic discussion here. It's a matter of
But
semantics.
it's confusing, and that's
But
what
it didn't confuse you any. You knew what I was talking about.
It took me a while to get there, Pete, because when you said welfare, I immediately went to corporate welfare, and we're not even talking about that. We're just talking about lessening impact fees or lowering the taxes. And I would beg to differ when you say that all the voters would feel that way.
Oh, you think the voters would say, we just love to take up an extra tax burden so that Pat Neal can make an extra,
No, I'm
$10,000 on a house?
They would take exception to your qualification as it being welfare, that's all. It's a very touchy word these days, and I just want to stay on
What would you like to call it?
just that, taking away, cutting taxes and taking away impact fees or whatever you want to label it.
Okay, well, let's change that in. I'm sorry I said welfare for the rich. Let's say that I think
And it's
that
not every developer is rich either. Not every developer is the big conglomerate. Just clarify that as well.
Would there be anything else you'd like?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, well, you just haven't gotten to it yet. Okay,
No.
so you'd like to dictate my policy to
No,
me.
I just want you to not take a big brush and say everybody falls into this nice little category, because it does affect all the citizens, not just a group of them.
Oh, it sure does affect them. They're gonna have to pay Pat Neal's taxes more. Oh, by the way, I did notice that Pat Neal put that plaque on your wall. That was nice.
What plaque?
Oh, there was a plaque on your wall in the other place about Pat Neal or something or other.
What?
You don't remember it?
I don't.
Maybe you left it over there.
No.
Well, doesn't he sponsor one of your segments or something?
Yes,
okay.
he is a supporter of Gail Shane and Friends, yes.
Gail?
But if it makes you feel any better, she works for him, so therefore.
Oh, okay, so she works for him and works for you too. Sort of. Or gets the broadcast on.
All right, Pete.
Okay. All right, well, I mean, I don't mean to, cut into your whatever you got.
Mm-hmm.
But, but I did notice that.
Well, good, I'm glad.
And I know that there's some kind of relationship here, although I don't want to mischaracterize it. It's just
No, we
what
don't want
it
to do
looked
that.
like. Okay. So I'm sorry I said welfare for the rich. I'll have to say transferring the rich people's expenses to the taxpayers at large. With that,
No, but it won't.
you don't know what I'm talking about.
I do know what you're
You
talking
do
about.
know what I'm
I
talking
think
about.
you're wrong.
You think I'm
I think
wrong?
you're absolutely wrong in the
Absolutely wrong.
Absolutely.
Well,
Because
see,
you know
that's
why?
what.
Because when they take away those impact fees, they don't say just for this big developer. They just take away the impact fees for anyone who wants to develop.
But as a practical matter, who develops?
Well,
Most of the house.
correct. And we had this
Yeah.
discussion beforehand.
Yeah,
about
you
it,
disagreed with me then too.
but- No, I was talking about my discussion earlier with
Oh,
you.
okay.
Okay, you know what? Let's take a quick break because I'm getting a message. I just shot right through the break time. So we're gonna take a quick break and we'll be right back. More with Pete Theisen on the Nilon Report.
With Pat Neal's commercial.
With Pat Neal's commercial. You're listening on WSRQ. We'll be right back. Oh,
I'm what?
You are a real big shit.
I
You
am.
because you have all these innuendos and insinuations, and it's all bullshit anyway. God!
Well, I'm so glad I made a hit with you. I wouldn't want to come here and not make an impression.
Right. God darn it. You know, Pete, you can't just drop these bombs.
What do you mean I can't? I just
and
did.
not back them up. And
I did back them up. You just keep on refuting them and
because
refuting
you
them.
just throw it out
But you
there
see,
and let it hang. And
You don't have
mean
any more
something.
logic than I have.
Oh my God.
But you've got the expletives down.
Because you insinuate these gross exaggerations, and that's what I take an issue with. You know, just stick to the actual topics and the facts, as opposed to just going for the sensationalism.
That is the actual topic.
Oh my God.
You asked me what I was coming up with, and that was pretty much it. That's all right. It gets better.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Wait.
yeah.
Can't wait.
We're gonna have.
All right, Pete. What topics would you like to discuss today?
What topics? Well, that was a good one.
Okay. So
All right. Let's see. What else do we want? That's my main topic. I am.
that was
real,
it.
No, I'm real hot on fiscal neutrality. In other words,
Okay.
development should pay its own way.
All right.
And if
We were discussing that a little bit on air before you got
We were.
there, so.
if the fees are waived by 2/3, well then they're not paying their own way anymore. If 2/3 of the way of the fees go away.
Well, and I know what you're saying there, but fiscal neutrality isn't directly, it doesn't include impact fees in the calculations, right?
Mm-mm. Not that I know
What does it include?
of. I'm asking you, what does it include then?
Well, it would mean that the government would have no new cost in developing this area. The government isn't going to have to come up with new roads.
So they didn't waive all impact fees. In fact, a lot of it is negotiable, is it
Well,
not?
if they waive 2/3 of it,
Okay, and when does that expire?
that should be pretty soon, but they're probably going to want to renew it.
So they just extended it?
They just extended it. They did extend it for
Oh,
another
go back
year.
on.
But that was, hold on, wait a minute here. I'll find the thing.
Yeah, welcome back everyone. You're listening to the Nilon Report. My name is Susan Island in the studio of WSRQ, and we kind of have gotten off a little schedule here. So I have Jacob Ogles in the studio, and we're interviewing Pete Theisen. He's candidate for District 2, Sarasota County Commission. And of course, the conversation doesn't stop and the commercial break goes on, so I get a little confused about where we are. So Pete, unfortunately we have only a few minutes of this segment, but you are actually here